if you've ever thought, even just for a moment, what a strange species we are. Yes, okay. I have too. And then I thought further, because I have an imagination, sometimes an over-imagination, but I thought further, well, what would it be like if an alien came up to me to ask me about we humanoids? So let's just say a spaceship lands in front of my house, and the aliens with the lithe gray bodies, that's what I picture, they come out and they scratch their alien heads, going, where the hell are we? And then they see me peeking out my window, and I come running out because I'm curious. And they look at me and they go, and who the hell are you guys? I would have a really difficult time explaining to them about our idiosyncrasies, how odd we are, how we lie, how we're dishonest, how we are self-destructive. So the first thing that I want to talk about us being strange humans, and this works, because this is a strange thing going on here. What I'm doing right now, a lot of humanoids are more afraid of speaking in front of an audience than they are of death, the final demise. Now, how odd is that in our human nature, that we're more afraid of the slight possibility of a slight public humiliation than we are of death? And now, speaking of death, I have a ghost up here, and you probably can't see, but he's reading a book called People Stories, and he's afraid, probably because he'd already lived, and so he's afraid of, what it was to be a human. But we're deadly afraid of death itself, right? Understandably so. We don't know for sure what's going to be happening or not happening on the other side at all, right? And yet, even though we're so afraid of death, we're doing things almost every day to decrease our life cycle and other people around us. And oddly, too, us humanoids, we have this, I don't know if it's genetic, where we crave poisons all around the world. We overdrink alcohol, we smoke, we eat unhealthy foods. So how strange we humans are when we want to lead a nice, long, healthy life. And then we do these things to decrease it. And then we do dumb behaviors, like getting in our cars and forgetting to wear our seatbelts, driving too fast, tailgating. We don't want to hurt the other people around us. At least we hope most of us don't. But we're engaging in these kind of behaviors. Now, the other weird thing about we humanoids is that we lie. I don't know how we learned to lie, but I believe we are probably the only species on this planet that lie, except maybe, of course, cats. I believe if we could decipher their meowing, they probably fit for the fun of it. But I digress. I digress. We lie for many, many, many reasons. But the main two reasons we human beings lie, and let's admit it, every single person we know, including ourselves. Some people lie more than others, some people less, but we've all lied and we've all been lied to. But the two main things is to get out of things and to get away with things. So here's some examples. The husband who doesn't want to tell his wife that he's going to hot yoga on his lunch breaks because he knows it will upset her. So hint, it's not about his body alignment, it's about the curves ahead. Or the teenager who's telling her parents that her grades have plummeted because her teachers have just gotten too hard on her. Hint, it's really about the stoner boyfriend she's hanging around with. Or even the best friend that doesn't show up at your birthday party. Hint, it's really about her being afraid of running into her ex-boyfriend, not about the supposed migraine. So even though most of us hopefully feel at least a little guilty for lying, we usually inevitably get caught. But it's so somehow ingrained in the humanoid species that we continue to lie. And then we lie to ourselves about lying so we can feel better about ourselves, even at the risk of creating unhealthy, dishonest relationships or no relationships at all. Now, lying is so, as I said, ingrained in us, and we, hopefully all of us voted today, that we have to vote for the very people that we hope to keep a sense of fairness in our culture, and yet politicians, we all know, are some of the biggest BSers in the world. Shoveling barge-sized hole over us on a daily basis. And then beyond that are very culturalized to us. We hear it all the time. In advertisements, we see it ever since we came into this earth. We're told that we're not pretty enough, or handsome enough, or cool enough, or thin enough, or smart enough. And it's subliminal a lot of the time. And those advertisements are telling us, though, that if we only shampooed with their shampoo, guzzled down their beer, or even ate their greasy potato chips, we'd be that much better off. Now, this kind of lying leads to something else that we humans are prone to. And I hope that no other species in the intergalactic galaxy are like this. Greed. We are prone to greed. And greed often leads to a sense of unhappiness and emptiness. But again, the very politicians that we elect are driven a lot by greed. The very business people that we look up to are pulled by the nose ring of greed. Even the average person who is struggling is buying into that misbelief of the more money I accrue, the more things I collect, the happier and more at peace I will be. But study after study shows that even the somewhat rich to the outrageously wealthy aren't any happier than the rest of us. And yet, we are all being driven down that greed road, so much so that our governments, our institutions, our businesses, we ourselves, unfortunately, we've followed that dollar sign more than our own planetary health, the very place we live. I don't know what the aliens would think of us, except that we are a very strange race. We're led by fear even when it's irrational. We sneak around the truth even if it hurts. We follow greed even if it disappoints. And yet, we're wonderful too. We're kind, we're loving, we're giving. Most of us want the best for each other and our planet. So what would I say to those hypothetical aliens that came up to me? I would say this. Watch a couple episodes of a TV show that used to be on air called Star Trek. You can still find it on YouTube. And we humans are part Romulan, warmongering, and led by very raw emotions. Part Vulcan, cool, calm, collected, basing our behavior on logic and reason. And we are also a species that you may call neurotic.